Hi, and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker broadcast. This is episode 1 of season 2. In season 2, we've changed things up slightly. We did explain it a little bit at the end of season 1, but season 2, we're still going to have the amazing guests that we get on the podcast talking about and sharing their experiences and their journey, but also going to do some solo podcasts as well, just for me to talk about my experiences and my journey and my thoughts on topics that come to light in the middle of the podcast or in the podcast that we're recording, or suggestions from you, the listeners and subscribers, on topics that you want me to discuss. So, like I said, we're changing things up slightly with regards to the podcast. As a host on a podcast, you work into an 80-20 rule. So you want to be hearing from the guest 80% of the time, probably more like 90% of the time, and 10% from the host. So it's always sometimes difficult for the host to talk about or give comment on the topics and things that come to light during the recording of the podcast. So we've had that feedback from quite a few people that listen and subscribe. So we thought, well, let's just change things up slightly. Let's still get the amazing guests. Let's still get them to talk about their experiences, but let's get some time to reflect on the topics they've talked about and any other topics you want us to discuss on the podcast. So this is episode 1 of season 2, and when we launched the podcast 18 months or so ago, we went straight into the podcast and got recording, getting some great guests on. But what we never did is just explain about the host and explain about me, my background, my experiences, and why I wanted to do the podcast. So we thought, what better in season 2, the first episode, to do a meet the host. For people that know me, talking about myself is not my favorite subject. It's not something that I do naturally. Yes, there are plenty of people out there that love talking about themselves, and really that is their favorite topic to talk about. However, that's not me. So what we thought about doing is getting me out of my comfort zone, which I do love, and just, yeah, let's just talk about me, share about my experiences and my journey so far. So yeah, I'm the host, Craig Skelton. And when people ask me what I do for a living, my first reaction is always that I'm a mortgage broker coach. Why do I say that? Well, to be honest with you, that's what I've done for the past 20 years. Yes, I have my own firm, CS Financial Group, with 16 mortgage brokers, financial advisors, equity release specialists. I help inexperienced people become mortgage brokers. I help experienced brokers create their own brand and business. And I also work with sole traders, limited company owners, and people outside of the firm, other mortgage brokers with other firms. So, wrapped around all that is coaching mortgage brokers in all stages of their mortgage broking career. So what about outside of work? Well, I do get quite a lot of comments about the fact that I don't post personal stuff on social media. It's not something I've ever done. That's not, I don't, that's not me saying it's right or wrong to do that. It's just something that I've chosen not to do. So personal stuff about me. I'm married to Sarah. I have a son called Louis who's 16 and just finished his GCSEs. I also have a dog called Daisy, who's a Lhasa Apso. 6 months ago, I lost my best friend, Buddy, who was a beagle. He was 10 years old, and for those people that know me, they know how important he was in my life. Luckily, I live at the top end of the Yorkshire Dales in Cumbria, so getting out onto the fells, getting onto the water in the Lake District is something that I absolutely love. I love sailing, I love kayaking, and just getting out onto the fells, clearing my mind and walking. I'm also a Formula One fan, and Ayrton Senna is the best Formula One driver ever. I'm also into my NFL, and also as well, being from Sheffield, it has to be the blue and white, hence my branding. I don't think my branding could ever be the red, white, and black of Sheffield United. So that's probably about the most personal stuff I've ever shared on social media. So just to give you a brief history of my work life and my journey in financial services so far. I left school at 16 with a few GCSEs. Luckily, my son doesn't listen to this podcast because then obviously I just explained he's just gone through his GCSEs. So yeah, we won't talk about that. Started out my working life in the travel industry on in a YTS scheme. That was when I was 16, and then spent 12 happy years in the travel industry. Got to meet some amazing people, traveled to some amazing places, and then, as most people do, fell into financial services. My journey in financial services started in high street retail banking, managing a branch, and then I went on to manage mortgage advisors around the country. I spent 6 years there and realized that even though I loved working in the banking world, mortgage broking was also important to me. So I knew that getting into then estate agency mortgage services was my step into the mortgage broking world. Started out in a estate agency as part-time sales manager, regional manager. So I was broking myself and manage a small team, and then quickly went on to manage a full team. This was in the large corporate world, and it's fair to say the corporate world does give you good, great grounding, give you good training. I learned a lot about what to do in the corporate world, and I learned a lot about what not to do as well, particularly around people and people management. So I was a regional manager there, then became a senior regional manager there. I was managing a team of mortgage brokers. And so 5 years ago, after building my career in the corporate world, whether people call it a midlife crisis or whatever, I decided to throw away all the security, all the salary, and set up my own firm and go self employed. Luckily, three brokers came along with me when I looked to set my firm. And yeah, that's when CS Mortgage Solutions was born. No introducers, no brand, no lead source, just a business plan. 5 years later, business plan has been written many, many times. Probably lost count how many times the business plan's been rewritten. Probably don't know, but CS Mortgage Solutions is now CS Financial Group. We have CS Mortgage Solutions, Retirement Solutions, Wealth Solutions. We've also got a remortgage specialist with Renew My Mortgage. So we have 16 brokers in the firm, plus let's say financial advisors and a equity release specialist as well. As I said, we've got 16 mortgage brokers in the team, plus financial advising and also an equity release specialist. I also work with several brokers who trade under their own business style, under like the My Brand, My Way. I also work with mortgage brokers who are maybe happy where they are with the network or with the firm or being directly authorized. And I work with them more of a coaching point of view, and I'm more of a coaching role with those mortgage brokers. Obviously, I also host the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, and I also host the Mortgages, Money and More podcast as well, which is more geared to a consumer, educating the consumers about the world of financial advice. I absolutely love what I do, the people that I work with, and the people that I interact with every single day and help them become better mortgage brokers. So, what three things are important to me? Well, the first one is values, which creates culture. My three core values are trust, honesty, and integrity. We share them as a team, we share them as a business. I share them when I'm looking to recruit advisors into the firm or I'm looking to work with brokers. I always talk about my three core values. I think it's important to know what your values are, share those values with people that you work with or people that you're looking to work with. They're not a secret. And if you've got the right values and you live by them, breathe by them, that will help create the right culture in your firm. And the right culture is so important when you're looking to grow. You need to grow the right culture. The second most important thing is the people that I work with. There would be no CS Mortgage Solutions, CS Financial Group, My Brand, My Way coaching without the people that I work with. The relationship I have with people that I work with every day is so important to me. It's important to treat them as I expect to be treated myself. That is a big thing for me. They will always get my help and support. I will never tell them what to do because I think that's also something that's important as well. There's too many people with too many opinions out there and telling people what to do when actually people need to be able to just understand what their options are and help them make the right decision. It has to be their decision based on the options in front of them. So that's quite important for me. And also, as well, knowing the people that I work with, knowing behind the scenes, the family, knowing what the family's like, knowing what the support network's like, what's going on with their outside of work. Because if they're happy outside of work, then they're more likely to be happy inside of work as well. And lastly, and in no particular order, these three, my third thing is responsibility and accountability. As I said before, I never tell people what to do. People have to take account for themselves and have to take responsibility for themselves, what happens to them, and the decisions they have in their life. One thing that I hate is blame culture. I've talked about that on previous podcasts, on other podcasts that I've been on. I hate blame culture. It's your life, it's your responsibility. To be honest with you, that's why I started coaching, because as a coach, you work with like minded people. People will reach out to a coach and want to work with a coach who want to take responsibility for themselves and who want to be held accountable. One thing that a coach does is that they will never make the decisions for you. Absolutely not, because they're your decisions. However, they will make you accountable. That's part and parcel of being a coach. So, just to recap, you've got to know me a little bit more from a personal point of view. The three most important things in my life are my values to create culture, the people that I work with every day, and taking responsibility and accountability. So that's episode one done of the Mortgage Broker broadcast for season two, getting to know the host. Hopefully, you've got to know me a little bit more. If there's anything else you want to know about opportunities, or looking to set up your own brand, or you're looking for a coach, then please get in touch. Thank you to everyone who's listened so far. And if there are any topics you want us to discuss on the Mortgage Broker broadcast, please get in touch.